Howdy, howdy, North Texas. We're here with the Farmers Branch Chamber Chat. Today we have Shelly Akerly with us. She is running for Dallas County Treasurer. Hi, Shelly. How are you?
Hi, so good to be with you. I am doing well. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. So you and I have been having back conversation. Even some other people have had some conversations. No one really knows what being Dallas County Treasurer is. So why don't we start? We'll do a little bit of a different order than what we planned, but
Okay.
how about you just tell us a little bit about what is Dallas County Treasurer? What does that office do? And then you can get into why you're running for it.
Oh, certainly. Well, let me even go a little further back than that. So, my mother was a school teacher, and I love history and details. So, Texas was founded under the Spanish model of government. And so we have the commissioner's court, sheriff, constable, clerks, treasurer, and district attorney. That's kind of the spread of power. And no one is really more powerful than others. They just have different jobs. And so the clerk can't tell the treasurer what to do. You just have to follow the Constitution. The Constitution of Texas, founded in 1876, and then the government codes and stuff. So anyhow, the treasurer's job is essentially the banker of the county. It really is. It's just being the banker. It means, according to the code, you record all the deposits and track all of that, including like if the sheriff has a big seizure of property that goes in, any deposits, any assets of the county are recorded and held by the treasurer, and then the treasurer makes all the payments, whether it's payroll, jury, election workers, anything that's going on there. And then investments. The county has money, assets. Some of it's bond money that's waiting for a program, and some of it's just kind of the rainy day security funds and stuff. And the treasurer is supposed to invest those and keep them safe. So it's really just being a banker.
Sounds like a little bit of banker and a little bit of accounting in there.
Yes. Definitely. That's why I was attracted to this position. So, because I started looking around and seeing where can I fit? Where can I help? It seemed like I was seeing chaos and incompetence and foolishness or frustration or whatever. And then I was approached and someone asked me if I would run. Would I run for treasurer? And my first question was, do we have a treasurer? Because I've never heard of this job. Because I write my checks to John Ames. And if you live in Dallas County, you have written checks to John Ames, whether it's car registration or your property taxes. John Ames is the tax assessor collector, which is different than the treasurer. John Ames assesses the property taxes and collects all of this revenue. But then he turns around and pushes it over to the treasurer's office. And that's the one we don't hear about very often. So it's kind of like a quiet internal office. But when I heard about it, I thought, that's kind of how I've spent my life, being in the back office, taking care of the money.
That's awesome. And you do have a background in accounting.
I do.
Why don't you share a little about your background there?
Yeah, I have a degree in accounting, BBA in accounting from UT Arlington. I've also worked in the federal courts. I did that for a year. I worked at Mobil Oil and at Arco, and then did take a sidestep home to full-time take care of the kids and make sure that I was the one who put them down for a nap and walked them home from school, that kind of thing. And then I worked in an investment firm. I worked in law firms. I had my own business for a while. So I've done a little bit of stuff all around it. So, because like the treasurer, the courts, I've worked on the court system, on the court side and on the law firm side. Well, that all happens, that all those ins and outs run through the county treasurer's office. So I've seen it from both sides, and I'd like to now see it from the inside, because I understand what the law firms are doing when they're trying to interact those fees, and the court when they're collecting those fees, and it just goes into a big black hole. Anyhow, I am prepared for that. I like doing the financial side and the detail side.
Well, great. So tell me, what are the issues or concerns you have about how maybe the treasurer position has been run in the past that you would like to change?
Well, my first thing that I was alerted to when I was approached about the treasurer's office, so I like details and data, so I started digging and looking, and I found that our current treasurer and actually several treasurers have all been like political science people. They're politicians. And the accountant in me was frankly just a little bit appalled that we would put political science people in the role of the banker, because it is not really a policy office. There's no policy advocacy really going on in the treasurer's office. So why would a politician be there? My thing is like, this isn't right. And I understand just from dealing with people of different personalities, and that's great. We have beautiful people everywhere with all kinds of personalities, but some of us are better suited to take care of the details, the money and the accounts for the good of all of us. And I think we should be putting financial people in those positions. And for too long, we just haven't paid attention, and we just voted for a name or a party or whatever. So I thought, well, I'm going to do it.
And right, this is probably super speculative, but do you think that you'd uncover something if you were to look into the background of the books of Dallas County?
Well, I do plan on going in with a good sized flashlight looking.
Okay.
I do know that they are not running payroll from the treasurer's office. And so, sorry, somebody's checking in. I wonder why have they moved it over to the auditor's office? Because, man, in my early days of accounting classes, you keep the accounting and the auditors separate. The auditors are to come in from an outside source, an outside department, to check on what goes on in that department. And right now, the payroll in Dallas County is being run out of the auditor's office. And I think a lot of these payments are being originated out of the auditor's office, because the county auditor, he's the one with the real legit resume down there. He's a very respected man. He has a big stuff, but sometimes we expect people to do too much. And I'm wondering, why isn't the treasurer doing what is really in the bounds of that role? And it's not just the current one. It's been happening for several terms. And I've heard anecdotal stories. My paycheck's not right. I can't get paid. I got paid twice as an election worker. I didn't get my check as an election worker. I called the office, all these things. Just, running payroll can be hard. But you know what? We can do hard things. It's okay. There's a lot of companies out there running payroll for 6,000 employees, and they manage it. The county can manage it too.
That's interesting. Yeah, I'd be curious what you want to. So just tell us a little about, how's the campaign trail been for you? What's been your method? What are you enjoying? What are some of your challenges?
Well, I didn't pick up that book called How to Run a Campaign for Dummies. I didn't know anything about this. I've never really been involved in politics, which is kind of like my motto, service, not politics. I haven't been a big political junkie. I've voted. I've always been a voter. And I have opinions, but I haven't been super political. I haven't been super advocacy on stuff. So I just started getting to know people. I started going to Republican clubs, especially in the beginning. And if I can go to a chamber of commerce or even a farmer's market, I went to Juneteenth picnics. I've been to an NAACP dinner. I've been across the board to all kinds of things. And I keep telling people I just need to make friends all across the county. So really my approach has been very grassroots, just showing up, making friends. And overwhelmingly, most people don't know we even have a treasurer. So that's kind of my lead is, do you know that we have a county treasurer? And they're like, what? That's pretty much where we go every time. And it's been a message that's been well received.
Yeah. Well, and hopefully, right, you have this interview. You can just say, here, go watch the interview.
Exactly. There's some of these questions I can answer. I've answered them so many times. But that's all right. I like that because every time I answer them, I hear it kind of resonate later with the people, and they'll say, "Can you believe that we don't even have that? Our treasurer is not even an accountant." Like everybody thinks, well, of course it would be. I mean, that. Do you think that your banker should know about accounting principles? Yes, I think they should. I think they should be well versed in audit and accounting, and not just learn it. Now, it's interesting. If I get elected, whoever is elected, they go to treasurer school. There is such a thing, treasurer school. There's a county treasurer association for all the counties in Texas, and they handle all the continuing education and help each other out. And it's a really nice group of people. I've talked to several of them. Okay. So, there are resources available, but it's a big job. And I think that having a foundation of basic financial accounting principles and procedures that are standard and good, healthy business decisions would be great to have a good foundation of that. And then lay upon top of that the specific roles and regulations affecting a treasurer. So
that's awesome. Well, and and I appreciate you shared with me, which hasn't been said here, so I'm gonna bring it up, that which helped me understand, because and I think, right, there's a lot of just differences in what political office means, right? And so the treasurer is a paid position full time. This will be your job. Position.
Yes.
Just like sheriff or anything else.
Yeah.
Like you're that person, that's your job. You're not a side hustle 3 hours a week here and
exactly.
there.
Definitely not a side hustle.
Good.
Now, this means I put on my high heels and go downtown Dallas every day. And there's a staff of about 15 people. The budget of the county is $1.6 billion, billion with a B, which is not as large as a lot of things. It's not as large as the DISD. DISD is a way bigger budget because there's a lot more employees. Think about all the teachers involved in the school system. But there's 1.3 billion of assets managed by the treasurer's office. That's still pretty big numbers, for a girl from the suburbs. I think that's still a lot of money, and it needs to be managed well. It needs to be managed well with good principles. Some of those basic principles: separation of duties, procedures, making sure that institutional knowledge is documented so that, somebody might get sick or they may want to go visit their grandmother. What happens if they're not there? You need to have a rotation of duties. There's certain things that you do within your office staff to, like, your originator and your reconciler should not be the same person. That is basic standard accounting practices to maintain good ethical place.
So here's kind of my follow-up question, which is a little bit unique for this type of role. But how will your constituents know, right? Let's say you're elected. How will we know you're doing a good job or not doing a good job?
Well, the good kind of news is most people don't know about the treasurer unless there's a scandal. Okay. And so that kind of is a thing. The other thing is the county employees are probably most impacted because that's the payroll and stuff there. And the general public doesn't actually see much of that impact very well. So it's going to be a little harder to see that impact. What I would like to see is to gain efficiencies in the system. I'd like to see a restored order constitutionally of the separation of duties between the auditor and the treasurer's office. I want to see, a better timely payment of the election worker pays. There are a lot of people that work in the election is a significant portion of their extra income above their Social Security or something. A lot of our election workers are on Social Security or on disability, and they go in and they can work that seasonally as the elections. And when they do that, I've had numbers of people who have talked to me about it takes them a long time to get their election pay work for their election work. And, these are systematic things that it keeps happening over and over again. So there's really no excuse. If this was just a one-off event, well, then, okay, maybe twice. Okay. But it happens every year. We need to work it better. And I'm very gifted at generally making things work better.
Yeah, an election working is not, light. I mean, they have to go through training. There's a good
Yes.
bit that goes into being a poll worker. It's not like,
It's not like you just show up and sign up for maybe a side gig for a few hours.
I mean, it seems somewhat easy, right? But at the same time, yeah, it's not showing up to serve soup at the homeless kitchen where you can come and go as you want. Like there's some right checks and balances around it. So
And
yeah.
so they need to be in the system so that their withholdings are correct and their paychecks are timely and all of the stuff. Again, running payroll is hard. Like the classic government payroll issue is what happens when you have a snow or ice day. That's what drives treasurers crazy. I mean, it is a big, think about it. Like, does everybody get 8 hours? What if they are already scheduled for a day off? What if they're a sheriff and we're on a 12-hour shift? Do you give them 8 hours? Do you give them 12 hours? What if they were on planned vacation? What if they had this? I mean, there's like 100 different, what if they were part-time? What if they're this? There's like a ton of little micro things. So you need somebody who's willing to help dig down in there and pay attention to the little stuff, because it's the little stuff that trips you up all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's only been the last couple months in my, adult life where I finally really gotten the meaning of the saying, the devil's in the details. Boy, sometimes, yeah, you never know, but just, the details matter.
Details matter. Planning matters. Planning matters. And I love a good calendar. Oh, do I love a good calendar? I love a plan. Maybe one of my biggest frustrations about campaigning is too many last minute things happen. Somebody throws together a meet and greet, which I love, but I only, or here's an event you need to go at. It's in 2 days, or come this afternoon. And I'm like, I am very content with my calendar very laid out where I know what I'm doing 6 months from now. But financially, that's how most businesses run cycling, on a cycle. And once you kind of get in the rhythm of your business, what your busy season is, when you hit, your payroll cycles, how to handle that, when your credit cards, your rent, your utilities, whatever your insurance is going to renew, all that starts to file into a pattern. You prepare for it. You have accruals set for it. You are prepared for the expenses that are going to come and the surges, and to save some of the surges for the draws, for the drought times.
Yeah, I feel like, again, like, right, this is fundamental wisdom, but I know that you also kind of come from that Dave Ramsey, right? Very fiscally responsible.
Exactly.
Life. Yeah, for us, it's like, dot your I's, cross your T's. This is best practices. It's
best practices. It's common sense, and it's really not sexy stuff.
But it's not always happening.
It's not always happening, and it's not always. Again, it's not the fun stuff. It's not what generally. Oh, come hear the treasurer speak. It was like, all of those stereotypes about the nerd. And I'm like, yeah, I'm a very chatty nerd. I know, but I'm still a nerd. I like those details.
Awesome. Well, hey, we've got a comment I'm going to pop up here. I don't have a name with this, but it says, we've got to know Shelly these past few months. You can tell when someone's passionate about what they do. Shelly has that passion, and we look forward to having her become the next Dallas County Treasurer.
Oh, that was very nice. Thank you, whoever that was.
Mystery person that you've met along the campaign trail, I'm sure.
That has happened a lot. It has been good. Sometimes it's a blur at times. Hi, I need to know you. And I'm shaking hands, and somebody goes, oh, I met you in Irving and I'm like, okay, well, good to see you again. Because the names are running around, and I don't mean that as insincere at all. You're
outnumbered.
Yeah, I'm just outnumbered.
Mm-hmm. I get that.
And stuff. But I really am glad to meet and see so many people everywhere. And I mean, how big the county is? 9,000 square miles. 9,000 square miles. Yes, that is all the way over. So I live in Coppell, far northeast corner. Okay, or no, northwest, sorry. Far northwest corner. And it goes all the way across through to the east over by, so Carrollton, Addison, Richardson, Garland, Rockwall, Saxe, all of that. Sunnyvale, all the way over to Sunnyvale, and then all the way down Hutchins, Wilmer, Lancaster, Cedar Hill, to Duncanville, DeSoto, 31 cities. 31 cities, and I have been to almost all of them already.
Wow.
I've put a lot of miles on my car.
And your feet, I'm sure.
Definitely. I came in one night and my husband said, I had been, I don't know, to 2 or 3 things. And he said, let's go walk around Main Street and look at the shops and maybe sit at a wine bar. And I'm like, can I just go pay one of those guys to rub on my feet and like pick up some pizza and stay home? Because I just really need somebody to rub my feet right now.
Don't want to walk around.
I was like, I don't want to walk around anymore.
Sounds sweet and romantic, sweetheart, but not today.
Not today.
No.
He said, okay, I got it.
Well, I'm going to put your website up here for those who would like to get more information on Shelly. It's akerlyfordallas.com, and we'll add that to the comments. You can find out how to support her campaign, how to volunteer, make a donation. And I'm going to shamelessly also plug, this is not a chamber event, but Shelly will be here at an event in Farmers Branch. That is planned for, what is that? Next week, Wednesday, September 8th, from 6 to 8 p.m.
I'm very excited about that event. When I met some of your precinct chairs and I met them in June, and they're like, we're doing this thing with all of us. And I was like, I am so excited. One, there's a sense of community. They're all working together. They're bringing in a whole group of candidates. And we all, no matter how you vote, you need to be engaged. You need to pay attention. Go talk to these people. This is not like you're talking to a U.S. senator or president. These are people in your county, in your district. And we need to all be back to where we are visiting and seeing and knowing the people who are representing us. It makes a difference.
It does. Yeah. And I mean, so yeah, I was going to you piggybacked all that. It's going to be run by a couple of our precinct chairs. There were originally planned 7, now 8 candidates.
Yay.
That are at this, either the city, actually, I don't think we're doing any city, county, and even state level. So they've got, Board of Education, Evelyn Brooks, Tan Parker, your friend, Melissa Denis, Faith Johnson, who we also had on here, Lauren Davis, JJ. So yeah, that's going to be a great evening. And I just want to encourage anyone, if you guys want to
Please come out. It's going to be great.
Yeah. And meet Shelly in person and learn more about, all the joys of being the treasurer. I'm sure it's like not the sexy, elected position that, you're like, yep, but someone's got to do it, right?
Someone's got to do it. And I also think it needs to be someone who's financial, someone who is not in it for personal gain. I'm not. I have a nice little life out here. My family is all in Dallas County. I'm really doing this to make things better for the county, because this is where I live. This is home. And my kids live here. My grandkids live here. And if we don't work to make it better, if good business people don't jump back in to do things well, then we'll pay those prices for it.
Yeah. Yeah, man. That's like a perfect note to end on too. But I always do like to let our guests end with a word of encouragement or a word of wisdom. Maybe a favorite quote or saying, or just how would you encourage business owners, just people out there? The world's hard. What would you have to say?
Well, that it takes so little to be above average. I have loved that phrase for a long time. And that is just, generally when we step up and have our effort, you can accomplish great things. It is not rocket surgery or rocket science or brain surgery. A lot of times it's just focus and energy, passion and ethics. And you can just do amazing things with that.
Awesome. I like that. Yeah. It takes a little bit of effort. And if you have one more minute, I'm going to circle back. I did have a question pop up here, which I feel like we kind of covered a little bit, but is there an actual educational requirement to be the Dallas County treasurer?
There is not. I mean, the only qualification per the Constitution is that I'm a citizen of Dallas County for at least 6 months. That's one of the things, and I kind of am sad about that. The auditor has a requirement, the district attorney has a requirement, judges have requirements, but the treasurer doesn't have a requirement for
Yeah,
any
like you
kind
said,
of financial background, education, literacy. It doesn't. And I think that's because it was established in the 1800s, and stuff. And you don't want to compromise a small county when someone can kind of do a decent job with less. But when we're dealing with this much money on a county-wide budget the size of Dallas, we should just expect more. We should expect more than putting marketing people or political science people in this position.
Yeah. Yeah. Amen. Thank you for that question. That was from Luis Palomo, one of our local leaders here in the Carrollton Farmers Branch area. So, well, Shelly, that wraps us up. Again, we're going to pop your website in the comments here, akerlyfordallas.com. And again, join us on Wednesday, September 8th, if you want to meet Shelly and several other candidates from around the county and the state of Texas.
Oh, good. Thank you so much. Thank you, Grace, very much for having me. Thank you, Farmers Branch Chamber of Commerce. I have loved getting to know all of these little communities, especially Carrollton and Farmers Branch, because, hey, you guys are my neighbors to Coppell. It's great.
I know. We're good neighbors. So
You're very good neighbors. Very good neighbors.
Thank you, Shelly. I'll see you soon.
Okay, great. Thank you.